Welcome to the Writer Reads a Planet's Ransom, Book 1 of the Ransomeers series. Today's chapter is Chapter 11, A Change of Plans. I stayed quiet as I put it all together. The Heritage, a bunch of lizards who didn't like anyone but other lizards, had come to this world, presumably to make it theirs. And they ate people. And if they had their way, they would just destroy the rightful owners of a planet and take that planet for themselves. I wondered how they were any better than the normal Evenatch, who had kidnapped us kids and then pretended to shoot us before abandoning us on an uncolonized world. Yeah, the normal Evenatch was so much better, and the whole abandoning us on an uncolonized world reminded me of something else. But the drops are randomized, I said. You said we had to find each other. How do the bad guys know where we are? Someone infected Alicia with tremolers, the computer reminded me. I have ascertained that this was an act of deliberate sabotage. It is possible the Heritage have also accessed the flight plans for the pods, but I do not think so. Why? Because they spoke of searching. If they knew where to look, they would not need to search. So, how am I supposed to find the others? Because I have access to the flight plans. The computer sounded about as smug as a computer could get. I will direct you. And how will you know if the Heritage haven't already found them? That I cannot verify. You will have to approach with caution. The floor shuddered beneath my feet, and I felt like I was in an elevator heading for the basement. Brace, the computer ordered. Evasive action required. Evasive action? We're being chased? I asked, hanging onto the edge of the sleeping platform and bracing my feet hard against the wall. Negative, the computer said. I am trying to avoid the trees. Trees? Affirmative. And then I remembered the trees towering over the campsite. I guess the computer must have lifted the pod straight up and flown over the treetops to get to the clearing in front of the Sapphirite Cliff, and then flown direct to the location I'd identified. The trees weren't particularly far apart there, and I wondered how it was going to maneuver between them, until I realized the floor space seemed to be shrinking. What are you doing? A narrower profile will enable easier entry to the location. Please place your back against the platform and center yourself in the remaining space. I didn't bother arguing. I could see the narrow ledge of room it wanted me to occupy. Are you hovering? Affirmative. Well, you change your profile. Yes, now shut up. We have limited time. For a moment, the computer voice lost its machine-like veneer. For a moment, it sounded like... well, like a real person. Hey! Be silent if you want to live. I shut my mouth. The pod narrowed until the walls on either side pressed in on my shoulders, and I was afraid I would be crushed. Hey! Almost there. Soothing, but like it was said through gritted teeth. Like whoever was operating the pod was having to concentrate very, very hard. Very uncomputer-like. I held my breath until the pod stopped moving. When it bumped down and the walls expanded out around me once more, I started again. You're real. Affirmative. No, quit it. No more computer talk. You're real. A real, live, person, lizardy alien thing. This time, when the voice replied, it sounded real. Evenatch. And tired. Evenatch is what we're called. Yeah? I said. Well, I've got a few other terms that... Don't. And this time the snap of reprimand was all too real. We have no time for resentment or recriminations. Like hell we don't. Do you want to save your friends or not? I stopped. My friends. Mitch, Alicia, Sulin, Davo, the ones whose names I couldn't remember. Fine, but when you're done, you're going to come down here and apologize. The Evenatch do not apologize for saving what they can of the races they encounter. But you made my mum and dad think I was dead. I could hear my voice rising, hear the anger and outrage that I denied running through its tones. Yes. And I'll never get to see them again. I couldn't help it. I burst into tears, twisting away from the direction I'd been facing so that I could hide my face against the wall. The same wall I was pounding with one fist. There was silence. I suppose if the Evenach had been in the room with me, I might have been able to call it an uncomfortable silence. As it was, I could only guess, and right then, I didn't care. I'll see what I can do. I struck the wall again and then tried to pull myself together. Fine, I said when I could hold my voice steady. Fine, you do that. You need rest and nourishment. I told you not to do the computer voice. I'm sorry, but it's what I've been trained to do. Well, try not to. Very well, but no more arguing. There is no time. Can't you help? I mean, you're already up there. Can't you send someone? I'm not. Not what? I'm not where you think I am. That gave me pause. I felt a sudden stillness go through me and stood up. I think you're on the ship that took us. I'm not. Well, where? We are not monsters. Yeah? The voice ignored me and continued. We do not abandon the young of others. And then I understood. You're here? On this world? But can't you go and save them? No. But you promised not to argue. I was about to remind him that I'd done nothing of the kind, but he kept on. It is the one thing the Heritage do not know. But if they did, they'd have attacked already. I can guide you. It is but one signal, and the older male? Mitch? Yes, Mitch. He has been instructed to find you and given a location not far from this camp. My heart leapt. Mitch was coming. This was good, but it didn't explain one thing. Why can't you just chase them away? The Heritage? Yes. We're only a support base. We're not even meant to be seen until... It stopped with a sigh. We don't have the equipment or the defenses to drive off a Heritage attack. We can only hope to hold out until help arrives. And that's going to change how this world develops, isn't it? I mean, you're not going to let us develop on our own now. You can't. And you are asking questions I cannot answer until later. But what if you're attacked? Who's going to give us the answers if you're attacked and can't help us anymore? We have set up files which will activate if a certain signal is sent from the base. Please, you need to eat and rest. You need to gather the survivors as fast as possible. And what about Alicia? She has tremors and is in stasis. You should leave her where she is. But what about the Heritage? Will they leave her alone? There was a short gap before he replied. We have directed the pod bury itself. It is protocol if one of the colonists does not survive. Protocol? You have plans for when we die? No, we have plans for if you die. You're supposed to make this world your own, remember? I didn't. I was about to say so when the food delivery dinged. Fine, I said. I'll stop and eat. If you sit at the training terminal, I will reformat the pod for permanency. There's a setting for that? You'll like it. It's supposed to be survival 10, but you've earned it and it's needed. Now eat, before your meal gets cold. You sound just like... My eyes welled up with tears and I stopped, taking my meal and sitting in front of the screens. I really missed my mum. For once, the lizard on the other end of the computer didn't say a word. Instead, the pod began to shudder and shake. The floor extended in 3 directions, and partitions telescoped out of it and up to the ceiling. Doorways appeared, with doors unfolding out of lintels to harden into solid panels that slid experimentally into and out of the partitions. Looked like the place was getting bigger. I spent a little time staring at things, and then, when the new walls blocked my view, I shrugged and turned to the computer. There were 7 panels now: medical, emergencies, security, survival, community, xenobiology, and exploration. I wondered what changes I'd find, wondered why I wasn't seeing a special panel on the Heritage. With a shrug, I touched the survival panel and watched as it opened out. The cooking fire task was still there. But now it wasn't alone. I read through the list, noting the headings that showed what task belonged to what level. No wonder these took a year to complete. At around level 5 they got more complex, and I realized that was because the colonists were supposed to have found each other. I closed the panel and touched exploration. Same deal, although my progress in finding a suitable campsite and starting the river mapping task was noted. And I heard the distinctive rattle of chocolate as it landed in the dispensary drawer. For once, I paid it no attention. Eat, the computer said, and I realized I was still wearing the GGS. Is it all right if I take this off now? I asked. Affirmative. I took the headset off and ran my fingers through my hair. Eat. I didn't grace that with a response, but started eating. That was, after all, the only response it was looking for. I took a mouthful and then closed the exploration window. Next was xenobiology. Not many tasks had been added to that, and I realized that the changes from before had been bigger than I'd understood. Fine, I muttered, taking another mouthful and closing the screen. I touched the community panel. When it opened, the tasks had... Blech. I touched the community panel. When it opened, the tasks had completely changed. There was no longer a steady build-up of survivor numbers to be found. That had been replaced with a single number. I stopped chewing. 1,673? I asked. Don't speak with your mouth full. But... The screen on the left blipped, and the computer voice sighed. Read the instructions. I took another mouthful and touched the new icon that had appeared next to the databases, wondering if I could get more information on the heritage, or the protectors, come to that. I made a note to ask the computer voice about them, too, just as soon as I finished dinner. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this reading, please hit like. If you'd like to hear more, please hit subscribe. And I'll check you later. Take care out there.